That was a good idea, babe. Nice job on that one. Nice call on that one, babe. Nice call on that one. Bum. So I sent out my parent-teacher conferences sign up.
Oh, yeah.
So between 8 hours of 15-minute intervals, I've only got 6 spots left.
Wow.
I'm like,
That's because you're such a good teacher, babe, and they want to talk to you.
we'll see, hopefully. Hey, I don't know if you knew that today and tomorrow are Amazon Prime days.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to shop while waiting.
What's that?
So that just gave me an excuse to shop.
That just gave me an excuse to shop. Okay.
Me have any rights. To hear the moment that I step outside. So many reasons for me to run and hide. Can't do the little things I hold so dear. It's all those little things that I fear.
Go. How are you guys doing tonight?
Guess I'm some kind of freak, 'cause they all sit and stare.
Is it going well?
Bottom left.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Good. Glad to hear. Things with Leah going well?
Yeah.
Come on, Ren.
Uh-oh, she's good. Hey, how are you? How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear. You don't really have to stay if you don't want to. I'm sure you probably have better things to do than you want to hang out with the teacher. So,
The 6th graders here with us too.
oh, good.
And the two
Well,
dogs.
called business security for me.
Yeah.
Well, this might be the smallest crowd we've got. I don't know what's going on. Maybe everyone is feeling good about school. Is that right, Leah? Yeah?
Can you hear what it says? No.
Is school going okay?
Yeah.
So be honest with me. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being 0 being not at all, and 10 being like, oh my gosh, how boring is it? Honestly.
Like a 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Not that bad, huh? I actually thought it was going to be above. I thought it was going to be above 5. I was actually thinking it was probably going to be 7 or 8, quite honestly. So I'll take 5. I gotta go back to here because I wanted to see if people could get my music tonight. This was going to be a totally tough one. I seriously would buy you a steak dinner if you can get this one tonight. I know I said that last time.
I keep hoping that I'll black out and wake up later when the week is through. It's too much to even write down.
And Leah, this actually has something to do with you.
Getting closer to a breakdown.
That's fine.
This is going to be like 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it'll make sense in a second if you're going to stick around.
So I call to complain, and you whisper my name, and I can't quite remember what was so stressful. All the shit
So Leah, then, are there other classes that, like, what are the things that you like in classes in the virtual stuff that you enjoy, that are going well? Like, what are teachers doing that makes it more enjoyable?
I think when we do like the homework or like some of the homework like in class, just to like help like learn about it, I guess.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I don't know.
It's good to know. You know, I'm going to start teaching next week with the DNA unit, so I'm excited to kind of hear that, and I got to figure out then how do I make sure I'm doing that. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. So here's the reason why this song somewhat pertains to you. Are you ready, Leah?
Paying attention? Yeah.
Okay. So tonight's music is by an artist named Kat Timmons, and her name is Caitlin Timmons, and Caitlin is a former student of mine from many years ago, and she followed her dreams and her passions, and she is making music out in LA. And she was just, actually this song that I'm playing, she was just recognized on Billboard's Top 100 as an up-and-coming artist. And so she made a music video that the song is Forgetful, and her name is Kat. I put it in the chat. And she made the music video all herself. And she doesn't spell it. She kind of goes by Kat Tims. And so that's, so Leah, that's kind of my, like I said, 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon here, is the fact that, you know, eventually you're going to be a former student of mine. And if you follow your dreams and passions, you might be able, and probably will, do something really cool like that and change the world. So it was neat to be able to see Miss Thorpe kind of sent that out. I follow her on Facebook, and so it's kind of neat to see somebody who's, like I said, followed their dreams and is kind of, you know, making it work. So kind of cool stuff. So there you go. So let's see here. It's 7:05 tonight. We're still kind of trickling in here. How are things going with everybody? Are things, everyone still doing well? Staying safe? Bored, frustrated, fed up, kind of nervous about getting into the fall and winter time, as we're not gonna be able to spend as much time outdoors and getting ready to get cooped up again. I did hear, Leah, did you happen to take the school tour yesterday by chance?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Leah, would you like to take the floor here and tell everybody what you thought of the new building?
It was really, really big. I don't know how I would like ever be able to like um get around, I guess, because it was really big. And like the tour like went, it didn't even show everything. It just like showed mainly like the hallways and like the main hallways. But it was just, there was so much there, I guess.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
Probably like the atrium or like the weight room. It was really awesome.
The weight room?
Yeah.
The weight room is a pretty nice weight room, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet space. And the atrium, or what they call the main, I forget what they call it. I don't know. It's well, it's the like the main commons part of the high school, and it's actually
Yeah.
200 yards long.
Mhm.
It's 100 yards, and then there's a slight little bend it, and another 100 yards, and that's all open, 3 stories, kind of some big window panes on the roof, letting in a lot of natural light, and then classrooms look into the inside parts of the classrooms, look into the atrium there. Yeah, pretty amazing. It's a huge, it's a huge building. I agree. It'll be interesting to see once we get students there, you know, are we going to keep the 10-minute passing times, or are we going to change that, you know, to, you know, because we had 10 minutes before at the old high school, because we had 2 separate buildings, and to get kids back and forth between buildings and stuff, you know, we had 10 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see if we keep the 10 minutes with this, now that we're all in one building. But it's, yeah, it's, I could only imagine, because I'm up on the 3rd floor in one of the corners, kind of the farthest away from, so like I remember the library is, Leah?
Yep.
I'm like 1 floor up in the first classroom in, on the outside facing the soccer fields. I've got a beautiful view. So very cool. Thank you very much. What was the most surprising thing from the tour?
I had like seen some of it since like 2 of my teachers had like shown some of it
Huh?
during class. And so I was able to see some of it, but I think the most cool was probably the atrium, like the most surprising. I didn't know it was that big. There was like the video that was like sent out like a year ago, I guess,
Uh-huh.
but it was just really big and really long and just really big.
What'd you think of the furniture in there?
It was awesome. Like this, like the couches and the chairs, and there were so many different like tables, like high top tables,
Yep.
and like bench seats.
And did you notice that almost all of them have plugins for your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to make sure that everybody can get onto their TikTok and Snapchat when they want, right? Make sure everybody's phones are charged.
Yep.
Well, good. Thank you, Leah. I appreciate your input on that. That's awesome. I don't know if anybody else's sons or daughters made it into school. I think it was yesterday for the tours. I think they're doing them again next week. I'm sure they'll be kind of doing more of those things. I did hear from some of the people who were giving the tours that were super appreciative, very impressed, and they actually did a great job with the masks and the social distancing and stuff like that. So that was great to hear as well. So yeah, pretty amazing place. It is like I said, it's not very often that you get a chance to get a new building in your career. So it's nice to think that this is where I'm going to end my career, and is in a new, brand new facility. So kind of neat stuff there. All right, so let's see here. I've got my agenda here that I've got put up here on my iPad. What are the things, as I remember, I always start off with what questions do you have? What are the things that you need to know that are mind-burning questions from last time we met? Don't all start at one time. I know you get excited to talk. You guys can just take turns. It's okay. You don't even have to raise hands. Just go ahead and shout it out. Okay. All right then. So we'll just start in with the boring stuff then. So today was the cell unit test. Hopefully you knew that there was a cell unit test today, and that your son or daughter did too, actually. The retake test will be on Friday for that part of the summative. Remember, the cell unit will have two parts to the summative assessment. The test was 10 questions, and then the egg lab will be worth 40 points towards that 50 points of the summative assessment. So if students do want to retake the test, they will be filling out a form for us tomorrow, and they've got to redo or do the cell review packet and turn that in first for before Friday, so they can take it then on Friday. They're going to take it from 3 to 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. What a great time, right, Leah, to take a test? 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock after school, huh? That's what we thought. Maybe that might be an extra motivator, maybe to not do it or to maybe do it too. That's why we're gonna do it after school. It also kind of helps us out. So we're excited for that. Egg Lab, that leads us on to number 2. Thank you very much for the Egg Lab, allowing your son or daughter to do the Egg Lab at your house. Hopefully it didn't smell too much. I know some had to start it over again. We heard a lot about that on, I don't know what day it was, Thursday or Friday last week, where they popped and had to start over. So thank you very much for your time, your patience, getting them the resources that they needed for the Egg Lab. It was a huge success. I think it went over really, really well. I was extremely pleased as far as how that went out for us, since I was actually the one kind of helping to teach on Thursday and Friday of last week, which was really exciting for me. Felt good to kind of be back in the saddle again. Leah, did I do okay teaching last week? I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Did I do okay? Oh, thumbs up. Yeah. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0, horrible, 10, the most amazing thing you have ever seen. I was probably a 9.5, right?
Sure.
Oh, good to know. I'm sure you maybe had a different number in mind. What was your number, just out of curiosity?
Probably like a 7.5.
Wow. Again, I actually was expecting lower than that. So that's good. Thank you, Leah. That's nice. Yeah, so then we've got the DNA unit coming up. We're going to start that on Monday. I've been kind of mentioning, let's go back to the Egg Lab. Sorry. I got ahead of myself there. Egg Lab. So we're going to be spending tomorrow and Thursday kind of helping students to work on some of the different more concepts that we've been talking about with our experimental design stuff. So looking at graphing, we're going to do a little more graphing stuff, and then particularly then looking at analyzing data and drawing some conclusions from the data. We're going to be doing a little more practicing with that tomorrow and Thursday. The Egg Lab will be then due on Friday. It's a much less formal thing that we've done in the past, but it's really just answering the questions that are in the Egg Lab itself. So one of the things that we've said, and students haven't reached out to us yet, or to me, I should say, is that if for some reason they weren't able to do the Egg Lab at home, that we do have data to give them so they can do the actual report part of it. We did realize that some eggs had broken and things like that, and they might not have been able to finish. So we actually did perform the experiments at school, as well as doing the control part of the experiment at school. So we do actually have a set of experimental data that we can share with students if they need it to be able to then do the lab report. So something to pass along. I don't know where your son or daughter is in that, but if they need it, no one has reached out to me yet saying that they needed it, but I'm probably assuming at some point in time somebody might. So I just thought I would pass that along to you. And then really the egg report will then be there's a series of questions that go along with looking at their hypothesis. Did they pick the correct type of hypertonic and hypotonic solution? Did it do what it was supposed to do? Why or why not? So we're really kind of looking at some of the concepts that we talked about with tonicity and solutions and passive transport across the cell membrane and things like that with osmosis. So that's kind of what the Egg Lab is looking at. So that will be due on Friday. I'll probably take it till Monday. I'll be taking it past that too, but if students really need to turn it in on Monday, that's fine. I'm probably not going to get to start grading it until Monday. So that's not that big of a deal. If they turn it in a little bit later, it's not going to be a worry. So, So any questions about that, about the egg lab? Again, I do want to thank you very much for your time and your helping to get the resources and things like that, allowing them to do that. I think it's something that we'd like to try to do more of and trying to figure out what are the things that we can do at home. I've got some ideas as far as maybe doing a DNA extraction lab at home. That's a little bit harder one because it kind of requires a blender. And quite honestly too, I mean, you can actually, there's a, you need meat tenderizer, and you can either use, like I've done an onion, I've seen strawberries and bananas, and you can actually pull out the DNA, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, that sounds really cool. Like that'd be awesome. Let's do that. And really what it looks like is, it looks like snot on a stick. So, I mean, it's not super exciting. You know, it's not like DNA like you think it is. It just looks like you blew your nose on a stick, but it is DNA. So we still might do it. I might give that stuff out to see if students want to do that at home. And you can pick a variety of different food items to extract the DNA from, but it's kind of cool stuff. So that's kind of definitely one of the things we've been thinking about. I know also too on my radar that I've been thinking about is that if we're starting to do, the administration is asking us to do like these virtual plus options and things like that. So being able to bring students in smaller groups and providing different experiences for them. One of the things that I'm kind of been somewhat in the back of my mind thinking about is that if it looks like we're not going to end up coming back to school, maybe starting second semester, bringing students in to do dissections. Since that's something that we were really disappointed that we couldn't do last year. And I think it's one of the highlights of 9th grade biology is doing dissections. So we've got tons of animals ready to go. It's just a matter of getting them or getting them out. So it's something that there might be more information coming about that as far as maybe starting. And it's something that I need to talk about with the other biology teachers, but maybe starting to bring in students after school or like on a weekend or something like that and run some dissections with them. I actually think our dissection unit is probably our best unit. And I think it's actually one of the better things that I think it's actually one of the best dissections in Dane County. Quite honestly, freshmen do 4 dissections for us that they all start with the squid, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do this year because I didn't buy them because I wasn't sure if we we're going to be using them, but we've traditionally done the squid as the starter. And then we actually make a lot of connections with our dissections back to our evolution unit, which is the one before it. And so they'll do one simple animal, which would be either a clam, a crab, a starfish, or something else. And then they would also do then one complex one, which would be looking at like lamprey, snake, bird. We've done a pigeon, rat, frog. And so they're able to see, then they go from the squid to the simple complex, or from the simple organism, which is more complex than the squid. Then they go to the more complex animal, and they're looking at how organ systems have changed and evolved from simple to complex. And then all the students do a pig at the end, a fetal pig at the end. So, being able to do 4 dissections is actually a great experience. And it's something that I think that I would really like for us to try to get some students in to do that. I would love to get all the students in, quite honestly, if we could do that. So that's going to be something that we're going to be really starting to look at as far as, if it's after school or a Saturday type of thing, but getting some kids into the building so we can do some stuff with them. So more to come on that. Like I said, the DNA unit is coming up on Monday. As you've been hearing me say it for the last couple of weeks, that I'm nervous and excited because I'm not finished with it yet. I'm getting there. I'm like 80% done. And yeah, I'm excited about it. It felt great to actually be teaching last week. I really enjoyed being in front of the students again. It was awesome to kind of, I was a little nervous. I didn't sleep very well the night before, and anxious and excited and nervous and scared. And boy, 45 minutes just flies by. Sometimes at our meetings here, you feel like it just drags on, but boy, it flies by like when you're trying to get through stuff. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. It makes me even, I think, even more excited and more nervous as well, as far as how to make sure that I'm teaching. And it's the most complicated material. It's the most complex. It's the most difficult. It's going to be the most work. So workload is going to go up. So one of the things that I've been hearing from you guys is, my son or daughter was doing, 2 hours worth of work and things like that. And is that normal? I will say that the workload is going to go up. And the one thing you got to remember too, and this is going to be a difficult time, is that for all teachers now, there's only today's the 13th. We end the quarter on November 6th. I mean, we're 3 weeks away to the end of the quarter. Every teacher is starting to stress, quite honestly. And so I think it's good, the fact that your son or daughter has now gotten a couple of weeks under their belt. I think they kind of get the gist, how to do school. I think they kind of understand how each teacher kind of does things and they kind of understand the normalcy of things. I will say it's probably going to ramp up. So that's just something to be mindful of. It's unfortunate that I'm doing our most difficult unit during that time as well, but I'm just letting you know that the workload will be going up for that. And the reason why the workload is going up is because the test that we're going to be giving them is really difficult. Like I said, as we're talking about very complex DNA replication, protein synthesis, how we make proteins, some really fundamental stuff as far as looking at how our bodies work. And it does a great job as far as leading us into genetics, which we'll get into then third quarter, which is unfortunate that we get this big, break in between. But, it's to me, one of the funnest units to teach because it is technical. And using vocabulary words and trying to get kids to understand some really complex stuff. That's going to be the challenge, especially doing it now virtually. So I tend to do a lot of drawing on the board during this unit. So it's going to be even harder for me to teach this stuff. So that's kind of been my challenge, which is part of the reason why it's taking me so long to kind of figure out is how do I want to do this process. So, it's going to be kind of, hopefully it goes well. So maybe Leah will come back after 3 weeks and she can tell us how I did. Hopefully I can still score a 7.5 or higher than that. I probably won't expect that, but we'll see. So that's kind of up and coming with the DNA unit. That will start Monday and then go until the end of the quarter, November 6th. So it'll be fast and furious. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up. Hopefully you saw the email. I think as I look around here, most of you, are kind of the normal crowd that's been coming here. I've also recognized that many of you have probably signed up on the conferences. So it'll be, looking forward to talk with you more one-on-one about your son or daughter, and excited for that process. They are Monday. They start next Monday night from 4 to 8 p.m. And then next week, Thursday, from 7:15, or excuse me, I started 15 minutes later. Don't tell anybody, I could get in trouble. But we're gonna start at 7:30 and go to 11:30 instead of 7:15. I just thought 7:15 is way too early. So I'm still doing the same amount of time. I'm just starting 15 minutes later. So it's been a really nice sign up so far, which has been great. Conferences for me traditionally have been super busy, and I love conferences. I think it's a really important time. So I'm excited to be able to sit down and talk with you one-on-one about, your son or daughter and how high school is going and, things like that. Learning. I want to learn as much as I can about how we can become better at doing what we need to be doing here. So I think I'm very excited for the feedback with that. If you haven't signed up, I will be sending out the link again. And also too, if there's a time that you wanted or that doesn't work or whatever, please feel free to just let me know. I will be more than happy. I do think that conferences are going to take a little bit longer to do this year just because of this format. And so if we don't do it on the formal nights of Monday or Thursday of next week, don't worry, we'll be more than happy to sit down and talk with you at another point in time to do that. So, and then I think the last thing that I had was grades. So, progress reports went out last week. Hopefully you got them. Did you get them, by the way? I'm just curious. Did you get a paper copy or electronic? You guys are all shaking your head. Paper copy?
Paper.
Paper.
Copy. Okay, good. So we went old school on that one. That's great. I didn't quite know how they did that anymore. So good. Hopefully you got those. And again, that's just it's the formal check-in. Things are changing from that point in time. So I do need to get caught up on some grading this weekend. That's one of the things that I was up to date last week, and then we've had some more assignments coming in, and I've been working on my DNA unit. So my grading is a little bit behind right now. So that's one of the goals, is to get those caught back up this weekend so you can kind of see where we're at. Otherwise, that actually ends my agenda for the evening. What questions do you have? What things do you need to know? What's on your mind? That is, could be a burning question. Doesn't even have to be a burning question. What's just something that you need to know, want to talk about? And again, you don't have to raise your hand. You can talk.
I'm sorry if you said it. Do you want students to attend the conferences?
That's a great question. Thank you very much for asking that one. Well, one, I will say this is that I think it's an option for you guys and for your son or daughter to talk about that. I prefer having the student there for one reason, and one reason only, is because for me, hearing things from the horse's mouth and having that conversation one-on-one with the student, I think, is a really important connection in this process. This is going to be a little bit different one with this virtual stuff and things like that. But I always prefer having the student there. But I will always say it's a personal choice. It's a family choice type of thing. So that they're not required, but I think it's always great for them to be there. So good question. Anything else? What else?
So if we didn't receive a progress report, how do we get one?
Good question. I honestly don't know. I'll have to find that one out. So I will, I'll do a little snooping with that one, and then I'll let you know. So, and I don't even really have a guess. So sorry. So that didn't really answer your question, which is generally par for my course. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's
What
great.
else?
What was that checklist real quick for the makeup test? A review packet?
So there's a review packet that I have put in the calendar for today, tomorrow, and Thursday for students to be able to access. It's just basically, it was the study guide for the test. And so if students want to do the retake, they have to do the study guide first. And that's really what we're just ensuring, is it's helping them to study. So they have to turn it in. It's not worth any points. It's getting a check off saying that they've done it. And it's also, again, showing the fact that they're spending some time studying versus just saying, I want to redo it, but they're not putting any extra time into, studying for it and preparing for it. So they can find it in the calendar. Like I said, the Canvas calendar from yesterday, today, tomorrow, today, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's in the calendar. So they can access it there. Probably the easiest thing. What else? Glad you guys are asking questions.
Apologize again. You maybe said this. My wife has attended most of these meetings. If they do the retake, is that their score, or is it the higher of the two?
Higher of the two scores.
Higher of the two. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I think you might have asked or answered this question last week or the week before, but if they have a question, so if there's a question on one of the tests that's like the wording is confusing, what should they do?
You know,
in
as
this case?
I think so, as I told this to the students, I mentioned this to you guys last time too, is that, whenever a student is taking a test that's for my class or any class, that if they don't understand what the question is asking, they should be going and asking for help. So putting that in the chat, doing a private chat with me, and asking for some clarification is an important part. And then it's my job to make sure that I'm trying to clarify the question without giving them the answer. So I can generally do that pretty well. It is a little bit harder because of how we're doing this right now. It's each kid is actually getting a different test. So it's hard sometimes to get to understand and figure out what question they're getting. I generally ask the student if they could type the question, what the question is, and then what part they're struggling with. It takes a little bit more time because we're not doing it talking. And that's, partly because we're in a big class and I don't want other kids to hear the answers or the conversation about that. So trying to have some test integrity, having some privacy of that conversation. When it's done with a private chat, as you probably understand in using the chat feature here, is that, only then I'm seeing it. It's not everybody else seeing it. So, it's a nice, easy way for us to figure out what's going on. But I would generally always say that to students. And that's that's a test taking strategy, is that you have to know what the question is asking for you to be able to answer it. And if you can't answer it or don't know what it means, then it's hard to answer the question. And part of that is on the student, is to be able to make sure that they do understand what the question is asking and asking for help if they don't. So, which is again, part of that test taking process. It has been interesting I've been having conversations with students about their tests and test taking strategies. And it's actually been really nice to see some learning and changing between the ecology test to the DNA test, that students are actually seeing those things and applying those changes. I will always say, especially with the DNA unit coming up, and again, you're hearing how much I'm stressing how difficult it's going to be. Really, really utilizing the office hours, the 8 to 10 in the morning and the 3 to 4 in the afternoon. Those things are huge, and they're completely underutilized by students. And it's a shame. Quite honestly, it's a shame from my opinion. We've got 3 teachers who are sitting there for 3 hours of a day, and we're really not doing anything. It's nice, I can be productive with other things, but I'd rather sit and help students. So, one of the things that I'm going to really stress to students in this DNA unit, and I hope that you echo that message at home too, is that, and what Leah said is actually one of the keys to this, is that then in class that I'm trying to give them time to start the homework. That's going to be the difficult process, because 45 minutes just flies by. But that's my goal, is to try to get kids to be able to start the work. But if nothing else, I hope that they're looking at it and then coming to the after school 3 to 4, or they're coming the next morning to 8 to 10 to get the help. One of the things that we're going to find in this unit is that it layers, it scaffolds, and there's a good teacher term for scaffolds. A goes to B, and B goes to C, and C goes to D. And if you don't understand B, you're really not going to understand C or D. And so making sure that they're staying on top of things from a content perspective is going to be really, really important. The homework, there's also going to be a lot of it. I'm giving it almost every day and I'm even going to be giving some over the 4-day weekend as well. That's one of the hard parts, is that I get this long break and I end up getting another asynchronous day, that Monday when we don't meet as a class. So I end up unfortunately getting one more of those. So I start on one, and then 3 days later I get another one. So, I think the biggest thing that I can say is they can't get behind. They can't get behind in the work, and they can't get behind in the content. So, really coming to use the office hours is a super important thing, and that will be stressed. It has been stressed. And like, again, I'm surprised that there's not more students coming. Maybe they don't think the material is getting harder, but they will hopefully in this next unit. So, that's one of the things that I think we've been struggling with a little bit to some extent, is trying to find the rigor and trying to strike the balance between getting comfortable with high school, getting comfortable with a virtual high school, and getting comfortable with being a ninth grader and things like that. And I think we've gotten to that point, and we now kind of feel like it's time to start getting into a little bit of the meat and potatoes of our material. So I'm excited about this unit. So I'm excited to be teaching it too. So you can ask your son or daughter then, how's he doing? Is he doing okay? Did he start crying yet? Does he look super tired? Because I'm going to be up late grading and doing work. So, but yeah, it'll be exciting. So hopefully that was a real rambly answer to that question, but I think I actually answered it. So I hope I did. So, and if I didn't, let me know and I'll be more than happy to give you another rambly answer. So, you guys are getting good. You guys are getting my humor, which is kind of nice. It's nice that you got your cameras on. I get a little chuckle from you guys every once in a while. It's good. With the students, it's just kind of the blank stares, and you're not quite sure if the jokes, kind of hit the gray matter with them. So it's nice to see that you guys are getting, and I'd even dare to say appreciate the humor. So that's good. What else tonight? Boy, you guys are old pros at this. So we've really only got we've probably only have 1, 2, what do we got? The 13th. So we add 7 to the 20, 27. Yeah, we've only got like 2 or 3 more meetings. So, by our participation tonight, we're up to 12. I think we were at 13 last week. So, by the last meeting, there probably only should be about 3 or 4 of you left. So it'll be exciting to see who's left. Kind of be like a Hollywood Squares, type of fun stuff. So Frank, you missed all the music tonight. And I was excited for you to see if you could cheat again and figure it out. That was good from last week. I was playing, I'll put it in the chat, or I can send it out too, but it was a former student of mine, Caitlin Timmons, who I had eons ago. I can't even think about what year I had her as a freshman. I can't remember what year she graduated. So, I mean, that's a long, long time ago. And I was saying that she left high school, or when she graduated from high school, I can't remember. I think she did college for a little bit, but then she went out to LA to pursue her music career. And she just made Billboard's, the Billboard Top 100, but she just made a up and comer. And her new song that she just put out, which I was playing earlier. So kind of exciting. Other than that, I don't want to take any more of you guys' time. Thank you very much. Any more questions for me tonight? As always, I do hope you and your families are staying safe. It's a concern for me, like as I mentioned to you, as we're getting into the colder season now, and we're not going to be outside as much. So the whole, the house is going to get a lot smaller kind of quickly here, unfortunately. So hope things go well with everybody. Please let us know if there's something that I or we as a school can help with. I'll definitely look into the progress report, and I'll email you about that one, about what I find out. Otherwise, if something comes up during the course of the week, please feel free to call or email. I look forward to seeing many of you next week, Monday, for parent-teacher conferences that may be thinking about, do I want to do another parent meeting on Tuesday night after doing conferences Monday night? But we'll figure that part out when we get to there, see how I feel. Otherwise, so parent-teacher conferences next week, Monday, 4 to 8, next week, Thursday, 7:30 to 11:30. And as I look around, I think almost all of you are signed up for conferences. So I look forward to seeing you and talking to you one-on-one next week. And yeah, take care, be safe. And hopefully we get some nice fall weather again. Hopefully this is not the beginning of the cold. So, all right. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. Does anybody need anything?
I just can't figure out how to close the window.
Oh, down at the bottom in the lower right-hand corner, there should be a red button that says leave meeting.
That's pretty self-explanatory. Thank you.
No problem.
Way to go.
All right, have a good evening.
Too.
Take care. Everybody else good? Okay, well, have a good evening.